Hello everybody, this is Lara at Elliott Wave Stock Market and Elliott Wave Gold. I've got a slightly new setup for my sound recording now, so let me know if the volume's adequate and if the sound quality's adequate for you. That'd be great, thanks. I'm only going to look at 2 cryptocurrencies today because time is limited. For me, I've got a lot of other work to do. I've just updated my Bitcoin price chart. Let's have a look and see what's happening here. I'd expected a 4th wave correction. Looks like it may have completed as a triangle, and then a 5th wave to follow. Let's put some triangle labels in here and check the trend lines. Elliott wave triangles normally adhere very well to their trend lines. This one does. This looks like a really good regular contracting triangle. It meets all of the rules for Elliott wave contracting triangles. Except now I can see that we've got a pretty strong morning doji star candlestick pattern happening down here, and you'd want to label primary wave 4 over here, but I don't think so. I have noticed Bitcoin very rarely does truncations, so I'm going to expect this to continue, and I'm going to label this a 2nd wave bounce. I think we've still got a little bit more down to go, another low before Bitcoin finds its low. Now I probably need to develop an alternate for this, but this is the price point that differentiates it right here. If Bitcoin can make a new high above this price point, the low of minor wave 1, which is 47,159.484, then that can't be minor wave 4, because minor 4 may not overlap into minor wave 1 price territory. So a new high above that point tells us that the structure from here to wherever the low ends up being, whether it be here or lower, would then be over. So that's one way you can use Elliott wave rules to have confidence that a trend has changed. Okay, now I'm going to have a look on the weekly chart at this possible duration, and I need to view the weekly chart on a semi-log scale. Yes, it is. How long has primary 4 lasted? 13 weeks compared to 37 weeks for primary wave 2. So the next problem becomes, do I need to move the degree of labelling within primary 4 down 1 degree and consider that this could be wave W of a double flat or double combination? And that would still provide really good alternation with the zigzag of primary wave 2, which lasted 37 weeks. So that is going to be my go-to alternate, and that's always a go-to alternate. Move the degree of labelling, and we need to consider proportion. Now the reason why I'm going to consider double combination rather than, well, it can't be a zigzag because this is a flat, because B has moved beyond the start of A. B is over a 1.05 length of A, and so this is an expanded flat with a really long extended C wave. I don't want to label primary 3 over at this high, because from this low to this high, this upward movement looks like a 3-wave structure. It subdivides so well as a zigzag. To label primary 3 over at that last all-time high for Bitcoin, you'd have to see this upward movement subdividing as a 5. And I think this is a 3, which means this is an expanded flat, but with a very long extended C wave. That's okay. Bitcoin C waves can be extended if we look back at its Elliott wave, a full Elliott wave count of its price history. Okay, so let's create an alternate. Let's move the degree of labelling down 1. That target will probably not be too far off, because combinations should move price sideways, not have a slope. So an alternate is essentially a sideways movement in this case. And let's bring in a combination labelling and label that intermediate. So this would be an expanded flat for intermediate wave W, and then we'd have X, which should be a big strong bounce, because X waves within combinations are usually quite deep to be part of an effective sideways movement. And then we'd have probably a zigzag for Y. I've found, not just in Bitcoin's price history, but all the research I've done, and I've got extremely extensive wave counts for several markets, and I've noted on a table the type of correction, the depth, and how much it's correcting of the prior wave in terms of percentage, and what the type of correction was. And then I've ranked the corrections in order of frequency, and I find that double combinations are really common structures, but double flats I've only ever actually seen it, I think 2 or 3 in all of my research and in over 13 years of daily analysis. So what that means is, if we're considering a multiple and the first structure is a flat, that means you should be most likely looking for a zigzag, which is the most common corrective structure by a huge margin. So I'd look for a zigzag for Y. So when we go back to the weekly chart, I don't think primary 4 is over. I think we've got just a little bit more of a low. And I'm just going to grab my calculator and do a calculation. The most common relationship for a fifth wave is for it to reach equality in length with its first wave, and that would be achieved at 21,775.34. Just as a matter of interest, let's see if there's a Fibonacci ratio between 1 and 3. So 1 is 17,703.613. 3 is 1.618, the length of 1, at 28,644, and it's 28,837.86. It's only $190 off. That's actually pretty close. That's a small percentage of the length of 3, so there's a good Fibonacci ratio already between 1 and 3. If 5 were to reach equality in length with 1, that would be a really perfect looking Elliott wave impulse. And Bitcoin does tend to have pretty good looking structures. Okay, so that's my new target for Bitcoin's low, and once it's reached that, it's either going to continue sideways, I expect, for a while, or it may make a new high. The problem with the alternate, for the short term, we can tell that this trend is over if we see a new high above 47,159.484, but because of this alternate, it doesn't tell us that primary wave 4 is over. It just tells us that this downward wave is over and the next upward wave is underway. This alternate tells us we could see those lows tested a second time before Bitcoin's ready to resume its upward trend. Okay, that was the first. Now I'm going to have a look at Stellar. This is the second I'll look at with you today. This is another one on my list that YouTube viewers and members on my websites kindly gave me. It meets my requirements. Let's view this on a semi-log scale. And the first thing I notice about this is from this low to this high, if you want to count this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, the low of this is 0.006892 and the high of 1 is 0.009421. There's an overlap, so that won't work. It can't be an Elliott wave impulse because 4 may not overlap 1. Could it be a diagonal? I have not seen any cryptocurrencies that began with diagonals. But let's see if it meets the rules for a diagonal. I don't think it will, but let's have a look. It does. Well, it meets the rules regarding wavelengths. 3 is longer than 1, 5 is longer than 3, 4 is longer than 2, but that indicates an expanding diagonal, which requires the trend lines to diverge, and these don't. And diagonal trend lines, just like triangle trend lines, should be strictly adhered to. This one clearly is not. That's not a diagonal. Let's double check before I completely discard it that these trend lines they look like they're converging. Are they? Is it a visual illusion? They are converging. It does not meet the rules. The rules is pretty strict. So I wonder if the volume back here was not big enough for Stellar to exhibit good Fibonacci ratio, for Elliott wave structures. That's entirely possible. But let's start with primary degree. No, I think this needs to be cycle degree because it's been years. Let's start the wave count off here, and this I think will subdivide nicely as an impulse. And I want to put one somewhere over here. Okay, that looks pretty good. Let's have a look at the daily chart level and have a look at some subdivisions here and see how well it fits Elliott wave structures. How useful is this analysis going to be? Okay, now let's go down to the daily chart level and have a look and see how this fits. Does it fit? Do 3s look like 3s? Do 5s look like 5s? That's the question we're going to have a look at. This looks like a leading expanding diagonal. It looks like it might actually be quite good. I'm just checking to see if the wavelengths fit the requirements. Is 3 longer than 1? Is 5 longer than 3? Yes. Is 4 longer than 2? Yes. Next check. Do the trend lines diverge and are they adhered to? Yes. That looks really good. 2 looks like an expanded flat. That's a really common corrective structure. A looks like a 3, possibly a double zigzag. Is this the low? 0.001443. No. Put A there, so that's a zigzag. And B looks like possibly a double zigzag. Put A here. Nope. A could be here. Is this a leading diagonal? No. 3 is longer than 1, 5 is longer than 3, but 4 is shorter than 2. I think it could be like this. That's what I was thinking. Now that looks pretty good. Yep. And C. Could easily be a 5-wave structure. 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, extended 5, probably. Yep, that looks fine. This third wave looks pretty good. No, let's put that there. And put this here. This looks pretty good. No, put this down here. That fifth wave for that third wave is really strong. That's really typical behaviour. I think this market is exhibiting pretty decent looking Elliott wave structures. No, I think that's a double zigzag. Moving along. Yep, that's going to be fine. I don't want to put that there. Do I want to put that there? What's the low? Here. That's got better proportion, hasn't it? 4 could be, that's not a triangle. I don't think this is going to subdivide as an impulse, so we may not be able to put one there. Oh no, hang on, that does actually work. 2 could have been some kind of combination. No. No, that's got too much of a slope. No, that's not going to work, is it? Oh, unless one is over here as a diagonal. How much time do I want to spend on this little piece of movement? Probably not much more. I'm just aware that these videos just get stupidly long. Okay, I don't want to spend too much time on that structure in there. Let's go back to this weekly chart and have a look at a possible conclusion for Stella. Nice name. Gives one hope. Very Stella name. So sorry about my utterly appalling humour. I have none. Really sorry. I really shouldn't try and do that. Okay. Oh, that looks really good. This looks like such a good impulse for the middle of the third wave in here. Great. Okay. Well, then the next question is going to become, where is it within the third wave? When are we going to see a huge pull down, drawdown, pullback? When I finish this video, I will do some classic technical analysis of Stella. I'll look at my usual range of technical analysis tools. I'll be looking at support and resistance, candlesticks, trend lines, moving averages, RSI, ADX, stochastics, MACD, on balance volume and volume bars. That's usually the range. Do I miss anything there? I think maybe one or two, but yeah, I have a little range of technical analysis tools that cover all bases that I prefer to use. And I'll do that, and I'll put that chart with a commentary. I will make a post on my website, elliottwavegold.com, and underneath this video, which will be embedded, will be a technical analysis chart of Stellar and Bitcoin as well, actually, with a commentary underneath, because otherwise this video is just going to be too long. My conclusion here for Stellar is it does appear to have enough volume to exhibit good Fibonacci ratios. Good looking Elliott wave structures. So doing an Elliott wave analysis for this market seems to be fairly valid. And as it goes further forward in a third wave, I would expect volume to increase further. And so I think that this is one that I can do an Elliott wave analysis on. My last thing is this is a huge bearish engulfing candlestick pattern. I will be having a look at volume for that quite carefully, and how RSI and ADX reached extreme, or did they not at this high. How much of a pullback would we expect? The bottom line for Stellar would be here is the invalidation point, back down here, because within a third wave it can only subdivide as an impulse. Within an impulse, the second wave may not move beyond the start of the first wave. And I think I'm going to probably see if I can have primary 1 over there. Let's just finish that bit of the wave count real quick. Let's see if it fits. Can we see the middle of the third wave in there? You've got to put this here, and 2 looks like an expanded flat. Is there an extended third wave in here? This is looking pretty good, but I suspect there's going to be an overlap. Yeah, there is. It won't work. What's happening there? Daily, I need to look at that on the daily chart. Okay, here we are on the daily chart. 0.11, 118,987. Have I got this in the same place? No. Well, the problem's still the same. You've got this overlap here. What scale am I viewing this on? Yes, semi-log. I find that you have to view all these cryptocurrencies on a semi-log scale. They just don't work on an arithmetic scale because of the extreme volatility. Let's have a... This might be the key. Okay, this doesn't subdivide. It's a 5, so the first wave is over here. This is a series of first and second waves. Oh, why are you doing that? I want that one. that's not going to work either. Well, I mean, that could be a huge leading expanding diagonal, but that just looks ridiculous. I can't label that. No, I'm going to pull this down here. I think this may be resolving the problem. Oh, I wonder, does that mean I can pull this over here? Oh yeah, okay, and then this works beautifully. And this is a nice triangle. No, B goes up there, I think. No, there, yep. Perfect. E slightly overshoots the AC trend line. Lovely. Okay. Well, conclusion there is I can see a complete Elliott wave structure up to the last high for Stellar at 79 cents. And there's a huge bearish engulfing candlestick pattern on the weekly chart. It looks like it's in a second wave correction at primary degree. So I may add this one to my list of cryptocurrencies I keep an eye on, by which I mean I'll just update my chart every couple of weeks or so, have a quick look, and I'll start to look for indication of a potential low, because I do not think a primary degree second wave is going to be over there. It's going to need longer. So I think Stellar's got further down to go, and I might be looking for a buying opportunity. Just a note of caution, if you are using any of my videos that I'm putting on the YouTube channel or for my membership, I'm embedding them on my website as part of your decision-making toolkit for cryptocurrency investments. One of the things I think I just really want to draw attention to is you do not and should not be putting large amounts of money into this. I'm putting actually relatively quite small amounts. And this is why. If you look back at the price history of Bitcoin, imagine that you had identified Bitcoin, say, the close of this month, and you'd bought it at $2.97, and you'd just bought $100 worth. You would have bought just under 34 Bitcoin, 33.67, and then you'd identified the high here and a complete Elliott wave count, and so you sold on the close of this month, which was 10,226. You would have made $344,000. That's pretty good for a $100 investment. That's why I mean if you can identify reasonably at a reasonable low point and sell, not at the high, but as close to the high as you can, because of the extreme volatility of these markets, you do not need to make a big investment. A small investment, if you get it right, will do the trick. So just so you know, I'm not investing huge amounts of money, and risk management for any and all investing is absolutely essential. So please only invest funds you can afford to lose no sleep over. If you lose all of your original investment, all of it, and people are going to be grumpy with you for it like your wife, don't do it. Don't be that guy. Okay. And you don't want to lose all your money and then lose sleep over it. It's not a good look. So that's the conclusion of my Elliott wave analysis of Bitcoin and Stellar today, and I'll put my classic technical analysis on my website for you. Thank you very much for watching.